Have you ever just stopped and wondered how life, well, how it builds itself? It's not magic, not at all. Turns out it's all based on a series of secret conversations. And today, we're going to eavesdrop. We'll listen in on everything from how our own bodies get built to the, believe it or not, super complex social lives of bacteria.
So let's just jump right into the big one. This is really the ultimate puzzle in all of biology. Think about it. How do you get from just one single cell to, well, you, to the trillions of specialized cells that make up your brain, your heart, your hands? I mean, it sounds completely impossible, right?
And it all kicks off right here. This single moment, fertilization. But this is so much more than just a merger of DNA. It's like the very first handshake. It's the starting gun for what is, without a doubt, the most complex construction project on the entire planet.
So here's the big secret, the thing you might not expect. There isn't some rigid master blueprint that lays out every single step from the start. No way. The answer is so much cooler and more dynamic than that. It's a conversation, a constant, chattering, back and forth conversation between all of these cells.
Okay, so let's start with us, our own bodies. How in the world do our cells talk to each other to build something as ridiculously complex as an arm or a brain?
So the words in the cellular language, they're these amazing molecules called morphogens. The easiest way to think about them is like a chemical GPS. A cell figures out exactly where it is based on how strong or weak the signal from a certain morphogen is. It's all about concentration. And this right here, the French flag model, is such a perfect way to picture it. Just look at this. Where the signal, the morphogen, is super concentrated, the cells turn, say, blue. Where it's kind of in the middle, they become white. And where the signal is weakest, they turn red. Isn't that incredible? You have one signal creating three totally different patterns. That's it. That's how you get complexity from something so simple. And hey, this isn't just some abstract theory. This is happening for real. In fruit flies, you've got a molecule called bicoid that's basically screaming, this is the front, while another one, nanos, is shouting, this is the back, and boom, you've got a body plan. Even in us, when our hands are developing, a gradient of a protein called sonic hedgehog, and yes, that is its actual, real name, is what tells the cells, okay, the pinky goes over here and the thumb goes way over there. Okay, so if morphogens are the messages being sent, what about the alphabet and the grammar? How do the cells actually read and interpret these signals? Well, let's dive into the machinery behind it all. The words themselves, the core vocabulary, it's all written right there in our DNA. And a really critical set of these words are called the Hox genes. You can think of these as the master architects. They're the genes that tell a whole block of cells, all right, you guys, you're going to become the head or you're going to be a leg. And this is honestly one of the most mind-blowing things in all of biology. It's called collinearity. Just look, the order of the Hox genes on the chromosome itself, it perfectly mirrors the order of the body parts they control from head to tail. It's like a literal map of our body plan written right into the DNA. How cool is that? But, just having a bunch of words isn't enough to write a story, right? You need grammar. You need rules to connect those words into sentences. In a cell, that grammar comes from these things called signaling pathways. They're these super complex networks that act like couriers, carrying the message from the outside of the cell all the way inside to the genes. So let's look at a really famous one, the Wnt pathway. Now, when there's no signal, it's in its off state. See that on the left? There's this key messenger molecule, beta-catenin, but it can't do its job because this little destruction complex, basically a cellular cleanup crew, is constantly grabbing it and getting rid of it. But watch what happens when a Wnt signal shows up. Bam! It's like a boss telling that cleanup crew, hey, take a coffee break. It completely shuts down the destruction complex. So now, beta-catenin is safe. It starts to build up, it marches right into the nucleus, and it starts flipping on a whole bunch of genes. And just like that, with one single message, the entire plan for that cell has changed. That's the power of these conversations. All right, so it's clear our own cells are total chatterboxes. But here's the thing, this isn't just about us, not by a long shot. To really see how deep this goes, we need to zoom way, way out and look at some of the simplest life forms on the planet. Let's talk about bacteria. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Bacteria, right? They're just these lonely, single-celled things floating around. But that could not be further from the truth. They have these incredibly rich, complex social lives, all built on communication systems that they have been perfecting for billions of years.
And the main way they talk is through a process called quorum sensing. It's brilliant, really. It's basically a way for bacteria to count themselves, to take a census. They all release these little signal molecules, and by sensing how many of those signals are floating around, they know if they're all by themselves or if they're in a huge crowd. So here's how it plays out. One lone bacterium sends out a signal, but it just kind of diffuses away, no big deal. But as the colony grows, more and more bacteria are sending out that same signal, and the concentration just builds and builds and builds until it hits a tipping point, a quorum. And when that happens, it's like a switch flips for everyone at once. They all act as one, turning on a new set of genes to do things like build a tough protective fortress called a biofilm. Okay, so we have our cells talking and we have bacteria talking, but this is where the story gets really, really cool. Because these two worlds of conversation, they aren't separate. They're not happening in isolation. They are constantly overlapping and talking to each other. I mean, just look at this. It's pretty amazing when you lay it out side by side. Our cells use morphogens to decide what to become. Bacteria use their own signals to decide when to build a biofilm. The specific molecules are different, sure, but the basic idea? Using the concentration of a chemical to get a whole group to act together? It's exactly the same principle. It's like a universal language for all life. And this isn't just a cool coincidence. It's an active, ongoing dialogue. Right now, inside your gut, bacteria are releasing their signals, and your own gut cells are listening in. And it's a two-way street. Our cells are sending messages back. They call it cross-kingdom signaling, and it's happening all the time. And the impact of this constant chatter is just staggering. The signals from our gut microbes help teach our immune system what to do. They affect our metabolism. They even influence our brain development through what's called the gut-brain axis. Get this, they are literally helping to build us and keep us running. This completely changes how we should think about ourselves, doesn't it? What it means to be an individual. Because biologically, we're not. We are walking, talking ecosystems. A mix of human cells and trillions of microbes, all living together, all built on a foundation of constant conversation. So from that very first cell splitting in two, guided by those subtle chemical whispers, all the way to the massive microbial cities in our gut organizing their defenses, the grand story of life really is the story of communication. It's how complexity gets built. It's how order emerges from what seems like chaos. It all comes down to simple conversations. And that leaves us with a really profound question to chew on. If our bodies, our very existence, are built on these conversations, what happens when we learn to speak the language? I mean, could we develop medicines that don't just kill bad bacteria, but instead just disrupt their communication? Tell them to be quiet? The possibilities are absolutely huge, and it feels like we're just starting to listen in.